thing is that I was going to have a really exciting author in here this week to record, but because I'm not around tomorrow and I still need some more gear, I need like a little bit better setup if we can be in person. So I need like a bit better lighting, even though I've got some new lights and a couple of other little bits just so I can frame the shot right. And this is all like learning for me, it's all new. So it's quite hard. You just suddenly think, oh, I'm actually terrible at this and I don't know what I'm doing. So it's good to have that forcing function of someone being like, oh, let's do it. But yeah, it's good that we've got another week because it means I can, have a little bit more time and space to kind of get the stuff I need to get. But it's going to be very cool. And it's also kind of why I got the space. It's one of the reasons I began, I committed to this. So it's really exciting that I've got a like amazing first person to come in and speak. But we've spoken before remotely, but we've never spoken in person. So this is going to be very exciting. It's been a lot of back of house stuff as well. I've upgraded my Claude AI subscription to the Max one, so I can spend the next month doing some like back of house. So I'm going to redo my Ben Mercer website. It's a bit dead. It's got loads of kind of stuff, but it's all relatively disorganized and quite out of date. So I'm going to clean it up, make it look very cool. The mock-ups I've got today look really nice, and I can integrate my Substack there, integrate everything else I'm doing, and I'm going to have a proper like web shop that I'll have there. And paid subscribers like yourselves will get discount for the shop. And hopefully that means, you'll have your outlier library over here with some of the free stuff. There'll be some other stuff that maybe you might want to get involved with. But equally, if other people come to the shop, I can try and encourage them to sort of join the revolution over here. And I'll just try and better integrate everything that I'm doing in terms of like my writing, my books, and then like my content, my newsletter, my website. Hopefully it'll all be a bit better amalgamated. As you can see, I've had a bit of fun with this little logo up in the corner. And I'm playing around with some ideas for some physical flyers as well. I think it'd be really cool to kind of leave some things around in the world that are like really fun and nicely designed. And it's the sort of thing I see maybe being like little book projects, almost mini book projects, particularly like one short stories, things that I can maybe take to the boys literacy programs, do for school visits. And I've got a really cool example. This is someone online called Christine Tyler Hill. And she's an artist, but she's also a crossing guard, I think in Canada. I know Burlington. Yeah, Victoria. I think that's Calendar. I think that's Canada. And she makes these little zines, and I think she's selling a lot. So the Cloud Report's sort of like, what are the clouds doing today? They're handmade little zines. And she posts them out, by hand and sends them this kind of stuff that's caught her eye that she's then illustrated and printed. And it's just quite sweet. And it seems to be more and more of a thing doing this sort of little mini project. So it's also just nice getting stuff in the post that's not like junk mail or something from an insurance company. Or to be honest, just like a book in a bag. Like I always get quite a lot of them now. And that I would never, ever actually complain about that. But it's nice to get something so sort of crafty and from a person. The lights I've got in here at the minute. So I've got this new table. Am I going to do this? Yeah, maybe I will do this. So I've got this little table lamp here. And over here, I've got some hue lights, these like big things, and they sort of change color as well. Got a plant in the corner, and that has this like watering stick that I put in it, which is ceramic. It's really clever because you saturate it with the water, then you can just sort of top it up every couple of days. And it actually permeates out through the ceramic and into the plant as it gets thirsty, which is really, really amazing. I never realized that was a thing. Gardening is another, not strong point of mine. Aside from that, yeah, it's kind of, I don't really want to show you the rest of the place because I'm moving the furniture around. It looks kind of scrappy, but I'll do a sort of behind the scenes bit when I finally get ready to shoot. I also need some like different recording gear, so I'll get some different microphones. I've kind of got one big microphone, but I think I might get a couple of lapel mics or something, so me and my guests can have one each. And these are sort of logistics, right? I'll probably have to have one camera, which would probably be my new phone. We'll do the landscape shot, which I think I'll use kind of for YouTube and stuff. And then I'll definitely have another phone on his face. And then if I can, I'll probably have one on my face as well. And then we can kind of cut between them. There are some tools that make that sort of thing quite easy now, and will just like elevate the sort of quality of what I'm doing. And again, that was kind of one of the purposes of getting this place in the first place. So yeah, it's good. It's all exciting, but it just feels a bit like what in my tiny mind. Um, I'm a little bit not behind on my reading, but I'm kind of reading across lots of different things. The Boys for Books, Boys Book Club pick of the month, Heart the Lover by Lily King. I'm really enjoying this. It's had a time jump, and the tone of the narration has changed quite substantially, which is obviously entirely deliberate, and it's probably going to become clear like why and how and for what reason that's happened. But it was quite jarring to me. I was suddenly like, I was so invested into the sort of first half of the book. It's taken me a little bit to get over this little hump. Aside from that, I've always wanted to reread this Chess by Stefan Zweig, which is a bit of a classic. And it's literally just like this crazy game of chess on a boat. So someone gets to, it's like a chess obsessive, and they get to play the world champion in a game of chess. And it's one of those perfectly realized little stories. And I've got this short story idea myself at the moment. So I'm kind of interested in these other little versions, things that aren't long. This is 80 pages, whereas I think what I'd be aiming at would be shorter, probably a bit vaguer. But again, it would kind of come here first. I'd probably narrate, I'd, do some different things. So, and in the end, I'd love to kind of write my own versions or have lots of my own versions of little stories. So I think stuff like this is like really instructive for me generally. I think the other side of that is like, obviously football's coming. I got sent this. I like this guy's journalism generally, Simon Cooper. I think he's retiring from the Financial Times where he normally writes, but he kind of writes about Europe because he is European, he lives in Europe, but he also writes about sport, principally football. And yeah, so this is about the World Cup and sort of lots of different things, how it's changed. It sort of goes through each tournament, I think, that he's been to, or it sort of takes a few different it kind of goes through tournament by tournament and sort of discusses things that were sort of new and how things have moved on since each kind of edition, I suppose. Another bit of reading I need to do, but I feel like this is kind of, there are certain sort of vibes that seem like they're missing particularly in children's books. And I think this is one. So Willard Price, these adventures, South Sea Adventure. Been meaning to reread it for a while, but it's two brothers, they're conservationists. And each adventure is a sort of, they go off on a mission to save some endangered animal. And I think they were so readable and fun. And I think it's the vibe, but it's also the structure. It's like, okay, what about this is so propulsive? What are the elements that make each story really, really exciting? And kind of reworking those for a modern audience and with some modern themes. Maybe even, again, this is not a long book. It's probably 250 pages, but not much text. But I think, again, you'd probably try and cut that right down and make it really, really, really lean, which I think would be quite exciting. Last week, I started reading this as well, Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino. This is something that's like always on best of lists. And I think Matt Haig, who wrote The Midnight Library, and he contributed this as a recommendation to Boys Book Club. And while it didn't win our vote, I've always kind of meant to read it anyway. So last week I picked it up and was reading it on the tube. And yeah, very weird. It's like all these little vignettes, different cities as Marco Polo entertains Kubla Khan. And I think, it ends up that he's describing the same place. But I'm still reading this. So it's really interesting. It's a totally kind of alien experience to lots of other books, I think. It's very kind of magical realism-y in a way, but with a European sort of sensibility, which is, as far as I know, quite unusual. Yeah, I think that's about it. Like, I've been sort of reeling from Arsenal's end of season, emotional roller coaster. And then also, this. Now I'm in the studio, kind of getting ready to really ramp up now, really do more of my own thing. And just, I'm kind of beginning to go after what I always wanted, which was to have a platform, have a place, have the setup to be able to do lots of my own stuff. And I think for a while now, I've been a bit transitional. And now this is kind of the next phase. So it's quite exciting, but it also feels quite daunting. If you've got any kind of recommendations for me, how best to set this up in here or whatever. I've got a friend who's a bit of a lighting bod, so I'm going to get them involved. And the camera guy that I've done the UK Sport project with, which I just handed over on Monday, he's going to give me a few tips as well. But yeah, it's all kind of exciting, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride. So yeah, there you go. That's in progress for this week, and I'll see you on Thursday for the Outlier.